The Catholic parish Mdabulo lies in between wonderful hills in the south of the Tanzanian highland, at 1,800 meters above sea level. The parish and the vocational training schools are reached through a 2-kilometer-long eucalyptus alley. The district of Mufindi, where our working region is settled, counts 26 villages with 65,000 inhabitants in total. Engineer Franz Rauch has brought alive an agriculture project starting in 2002 by the name of Eine Welt Gruppe Schlins Röns. Since the successful start, workshops with different kinds of issues are offered every year. The farmers, women and men from the region can participate for free and so pass their new knowledge to their community. After the adult course, participants have a walk of several hours beyond them. They first get a little refreshment before they have to go on learning. Interested farmers who have absolved the basic training for sustainable agriculture and have built a farm based on the new learned agriculture methods can be a member of the Best Farmers Association. To the Eine Welt Gruppe Schlins Röns, it is especially important to accompany the current projects by being present regularly. This time, Hannes Rauch is at the spot. Between the Vorarlberg project group and the BFA committee exists a close contact, a good cooperation. They are involved in the workshops right at the beginning. They inform all the participants about time and place of the training, helping to put it into action, and are giving the learned theory further to the participants. In teamwork, the theoretical knowledge is strengthened. The exercise books are sponsored because the parents can hardly afford exercise books for their children. Because they know how this training eases their work and helps their harvests, the participants are willing and ready to learn in a way that can be clearly felt. With simple devices, it is shown to the participants of the workshop how contours are measured and hill parallel terraces are built, so that the fertile ground is not washed away by the heavy rains. A simple but very effective method, which is taught by the Eine Welt Gruppe Schlins Röns since 2002. After learning the theory, every single group gets their own field where they can put the new methods into practice. Weed and bushes have to be removed first so that the contours can be measured. After all, it can be started with the contour embankment. Meanwhile, Hannes Rauch is visiting the entire fields to look after them. It is obvious that this technique of cultivating in the steep hills of the highland is a good foundation for growing different sorts of grain and vegetables.
We don't know how to do about our problems to solve. But we think now we are very happy to see you. Welcome more and more to help us.
The water for the fields and normal day life has to be carried from the nearest fountain, which often is not very close. This is a kid's task. The inhabitants of Mdabulo are in the happy position that drinking water bubbles out of the spring. To install water pipes directly to the village would be way too expensive. In the next morning, every single group starts to build a compost pile. After an area has been shuffled out, 50 layers in total are shifted on top of each other. Therefore, the surrounding green is cut, old banana trees chopped and worked into the pile. It takes 3 months for good, nutritious soil to develop from the compost pile. Only few people can afford a cow and chemical fertilizers, which on one hand are too expensive for the poor inhabitants and on the other hand everything else than environment friendly. In a few months, the farmers will have a natural fertilizer without financial expense. As a control, if everything has been done right, it has to be rechecked in the notes and to be sure looked into the old compost. The workshop participants are taking their task seriously. After all, they want to profit from what they have learned. Before the last layer is set down, they allow themselves a sip of pombe, a self-brewed beer. Meanwhile, it's midday and the sun is doing her part. Everybody is happy that the compost only has to be watered. At the very end, the leftover banana leaves are put upon the compost as protection and to keep the inside of the pile warm. At the last day of the workshop, it's going to be very exciting. By means of a smart evaluation of Franz Rauch, the best farmers of the last year are voted. In front of all the members, the names of the winners are called out and asked to pick up a present. None of the members is going home with empty hands. The simply constructed contouring measurements, each a water level and a hand shovel, is handed out to everyone. The joy and the thankfulness is great. So this workshop ends with an Asante song before all the members go back home to their villages. We are visiting the village Ligunga in the very south of Tanzania and are welcomed very warmly. This distant community has been sponsored by the Land for Arlberg in Austria since 2008. The project is water supply for the village and a finance demonstration field for tropical fruits, for example orange trees. A spring feeds the first water tank. The sand stays on the ground and the filtered water flows into the second water tank. This natural filter works without electricity and without technical help. The clear water from the third tank flows downhill, where the hydraulic wider pumps the water 2.5 kilometers into the village. The natural overpressure is used for the surrounding fields. One of the surrounding fields is the big demonstration and exercising field, which is run by the 12 village committee members. The small fruit trees are 1 year old. After 2 years, the first orange harvest can be done. The priority is self-sustainable agriculture. The surplus will be sold, and with the profits the fruit farmers can buy new small fruit trees again. The small plants have to be watered with 2 liters of water each, which means that every week 840 baskets of water have to be carried from the village fountain to the field. With the sponsored water pump, the water is at least in reach. Through the previous help of the Eine Welt Gruppe Schlins Röns, the living conditions of the inhabitants of Ligunga have been improved, and a lasting relationship has been created. Back in Ndabulu, we are visiting the vocational training schools for woodcrafting, wheeling and tailoring. A part of the craftsmen vocational training schools is paid by the school fees itself. The cost for the teachers and tools are financed by the project group. For the Wheeler Training School, sponsors have been found, besides that the Vorarlberger Wheeler Corporation has taken part with a certain amount for this project. In January 2010, a Drehmaschine, which is on the way to Tanzania, will be installed. The specialists from Vorarlberg are coming frequently to hold workshops on specific topics without getting paid. Like this, young people are trained as skilled workers who can work in their villages as self-employed. By now, the vocational training schools are enlarged and expanded. In the future, also co-workshops should develop, which can be run by the Corporation of Handcrafts. The aim is to keep the valuable workers in the villages and avoid rural exodus. This time, Brigitta has a very special surprise for the 2 tailoring teachers, an overlock. With this machine, pullovers for the school uniforms can be manufactured in future and be handed out to orphans from the HIV Orphans Project for free. Like this, everybody profits and the single projects are linked with each other. 23 sewing machines in total could be bought till now. Therefore, 26 girls can be educated as tailors each year. This education takes 3 years. The enthusiasm of both tailoring teachers is written in their faces. Now they can take further orders with which the necessary fabrics and the threads are financed again. Beside the agriculture and handcraft projects, the Eine Welt Gruppe is since 2005 also active in the social field. Like this, several kindergartens have already been built up. To understand the necessity, it is important to know that a lot of kids are fully orphaned. Grandparents and single parents often can't afford enough food for the whole family. At the kindergarten, the small ones get at least lunch, consisting of corn porridge daily. The villagers are working together. They submit the supervision and the necessary foodstuffs. For 2009, a further kindergarten could be financed. The build is done by the villagers themselves. They are happy that the costs for building materials for the kindergarten in the village with above average kids are financed. Orphans who are already school-aged are supported by sponsorships. With this, for 550 orphans, the school fees, school uniforms, shoes, soaps, cooking oil and body lotion can be paid and distributed to them. 4 times a year, these handouts are taking place. 4 loadings of a lorry are necessary to deliver the goods to 4 school districts where up to 185 children are waiting with the little damaged containers. The Eine Welt Gruppe is working together with headmasters and the respective village committees. These local institutions know about the living situations of the villagers and which child needs to be supported. Through this vital necessity support, children can stay in their well-known social surrounding, and with their completed education, they are going to have a fair chance in the future life. The project group Eine Welt Gruppe Schlins Röns is convinced that only help for self-help will mean a secure existence for long term for the population. Because agriculture is the basic of existence for the people, education can only work in combination with agriculture. With the different fields of sustainable agriculture, vocational training in the fields of carpentry, tailoring and wheeling, and kindergarten and sponsorships for HIV orphans, a good foundation is made. Now we have to keep up to enlarge these areas. A living and work surrounding for qualified teachers, trainers and volunteers, as well as a vocational training school for electricians and telecommunication are planned. The architect's plan is already settled, the foundation exists, and a whole bunch of motivated people are just waiting to start soon.